every time that I have the opportunity to share my thoughts with young people, I remind them that throughout the ages, it is young people who have changed their societies. If you look at any society, whether it is in the continent of Africa or outside of the continent of Africa, it was young people. Today, we do not give much meaning to history, but if you look at individuals who contributed to the struggle for independence in this country, and think of individuals such as Dedan Kimathi Waciuri, ask yourself how old he was. Today, when you read about history, you think he was born old. But I go further and invite you, go and read about Dedan Kimathi Waciuri. Read about individuals who participated in the struggle for independence in the continent of Africa, outside of this country. If you don't mention the ones that you know, they were young. Whether it was in Tanzania, it was a young Nyerere who came up with ideas. A young Obote, a young Kaunda, a young Nkrumah, a young Sankara, and today, without much information, I see even in Matatus, a young Traore from Burkina Faso. And we must ask ourselves as young people who are gathered here, why are we here? The other day, I listened to the minister for the time being in charge of the treasury in Kenya, talking about our GDP being 136 billion or thereabouts. That is what we produce, the 50 million of us in Kenya, 136 billion United States dollars. I do not know whether you have heard of a supermarket called Walmart. Walmart's earnings last year is 564 billion. It means that a supermarket in the United States of America generates more money than 50 million of us. And we are the 6th largest economy in the continent of Africa. Are we doing well? No, we are not. Today, when you travel across the continent of Africa, and I do, there is not a single place that you do not meet young Chinese between ages 20 and 30. What are they looking for? On the first day of July, I was in Lodwar at a hotel called The Cradle. On a table next to me, there were 5 Chinese. I took time to talk to them. They were between ages 20 and 35. They were in Lodwar. How many of you here have been in Lodwar? How many of you young Kenyans have been in Lodwar? Yet young Chinese traveled over 11,000 kilometers to come to Lodwar. Then when they succeed, we wonder why. Waswahili wanasema safari ya Ijumaa hutayarishwa Alhamisi. They are preparing themselves. His Excellency the Governor and his government have invited you here for 2 days because his government recognizes that without young people, this county and by extension the Republic of Kenya will never realize our potential. But remember, being youth and being young is not a permanent stage. In the next 10 years, you will not be young anymore. You will be old or older, and the world will ask of you, what contribution did you make? I was listening to my good friend, the Minister for Agriculture, or the Cabinet Secretary for Agriculture, Mutahi Kagwe. And he was telling Kenyans that we import, is it 5 billion eggs or thereabouts? I may be wrong about the numbers, but we import eggs. Can you believe it? Did the chicken in Nyeri forget how to lay eggs? That we should import eggs? As young people, are you involved in agriculture? I was talking to my good friend here who is the advisor of the President of the Republic of Kenya on matters agriculture. And I was telling him that next year Africa is going to import food. We are going to import maize. We are going to import wheat. We are going to import rice. We are going to import sugar. We are going to import many things, which means we cannot feed ourselves. As I sat there, I watched the documentary of an old man growing macadamia. But he was complaining that the middlemen are shortchanging him. The question that I'm asking you after this conference, how many of you here will be engaged in agriculture? Because he or she who cannot feed himself is a slave. Today, we are talking about artificial intelligence. And as we sat down here, our good friend donated smartphones to some 2 young people. Waswahili wanasema simu janja. Do we make any smartphones in Kenya? The best we do is assemble them. I heard the musician here talking about YouTube. Do you control YouTube? Do you control Instagram? I'm asking you, young Africans, what will you do during this week of invention and innovation to create things that will benefit this country? My good friend here, Gashisha, will tell you, when we were at the university in the 1980s, that is almost 40 years ago. Many of you are younger than that. We thought we could change the world. We shouted student power. We thought we were God's gift to the world. We now know better. He or she who wants to change the world must first change himself or herself. And that is why I'm commending to you a book written by an individual called Ryan Holiday, discipline is destiny. Discipline is destiny. You know, many years ago, as a young student in 1994, to be exact, I had the honor and privilege of serving as an intern at the foundation and under the late Tanzanian President Mwalimu Julius Kambarage Nyerere. And I learned one thing as I took time to travel with him in certain parts of Tanzania. And I remember one iconic speech which he repeated several times, talking to young Tanzanians. And he said it in Kiswahili. He said, for the politicians who are here, siri ya maendeleo ni watu, ardhi, na siasa safi. Siri ya maendeleo ni watu, ardhi, na siasa safi. Ardhi tunayo. Watu tunao. Tatizo letu ni siasa chafu. And siasa is not these campaigns, you see. Siasa is about decision making. In Africa, we think politics is a bad thing. Politics is the organization of human affairs for the benefit of those humans. That is what politics is.